Peace, peace, peace. It's another day to go, I can't go. I can't put my name on it, but you can call it. Spoil it, I'ma keep it rolling. A lot of niggas talking, but they ain't really walking. I'ma get the cash, got a nigga, do what you want. Yeah, I don't need to be the number one. Peace, peace, peace. In the cut, niggas think I'm on. Peace, peace. We got cut off last night, so we gonna pick off where we left off last night. We going 30 days in each spirituality. We breaking down spiritualities, we breaking down religions. And we gonna get to the root of all this, man, through research. All right, through research, everything in between. So go ahead, purify this air and we gonna get it in. Get it in. Out of darkness. Better yet, I feel like, cause every time I kill myself, I infuse with myself. The only competition is the man in the mirror. I can make you believe it. Just go do your research. Just go get your knowledge. Just go build your knowledge. By edification. By real education. Alright, man, we ain't gonna waste too much more time. I just said it. We ain't gonna waste too much more time. Alright, so we're gonna keep it going. Just turn the music down a little bit. We're gonna rock out. So let's get everybody up to speed first. Like I like to start off all my lives. Send that love to everyone that you're supporting. If you got people in your corner, make sure you appreciate them while they still here to the best of your ability. I ain't gonna be on for too long. I'm gonna be on for about an hour to come on and kind of get things started for the late night session. We started, right now we're starting with the Bible, Christianity, Islam, and we get into the Torah, the Tanakh, New Testament. We're gonna break everything down, how it's comparing to our makeup as in reality, all right? And what we compare in this spiritual journey, what happens in reality in the physical sense and in the spiritual sense, because we are in a duality, all right? And every religion speaks to that. And we're going to get into the hermetics of each religion and spirituality, because it's a lot of fakers out here. It's a lot of people that ain't really telling you what it is. They want to tell you what they believe so they can get more followers or some money thing. So and that's going for me too. Don't take my word. Do your own research. Do your own due diligence. Use discernment and meditation and prayer in order to find your answer that you're looking for. That's the biggest thing in this journey. Yes, we're here to help each other out, but you have to take the time to do your own due diligence, put in your own work, right? Because you just can't believe any and everything that somebody's saying, especially if they just reading it out the book and they ain't putting no context in it. And then not only that, they not bringing it back into the reality, the world that we live in 2023, right? That's everything. And I ain't talking about end times. That's the thing. We're not on an end time journey. We're on the purpose of life journey. Okay? Like, we didn't come here to live in the last days. No, we came here to find out the purpose of life and the whole reason why we didn't ask to be here, but we still here. That's what we at with it. So we're gonna get into this. Cain and Abel part 2. The reason why I call it Cain and Abel part 2, because last night, if you was with me last night, we started off in the book of Genesis, but we start off with the book of Adam and Eve and the conflict with Satan. Okay, it's a very important book, because as we know, in secular religion, in this colonial Bible, even though it has some good hermetic stuff in there, it's still missing books. Okay, we got to remember, this is not a book. I know you can tell I've been going through it. This is not a book. Okay, this is a collection of books. It's more like a library than just a book. So we got to get that. All right, so we're starting with this. We're going to Islam, the Quran. We're going to the Rig Veda, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever you want to get into, man. We're getting in that, covering the tree of life, everything. But we're going to start with some of the mainstream religions. All right. So last night we started with the book of Adam and Eve in the cave of treasures. Okay, and understanding that Eden is another place. Okay, you was here, peace. We got to understand that Eden, or understand that Eden was not of this world. Okay, meaning that when they fell to earth, it was literally that they fell from another dimension through a portal down to the earth that we in. How do we know this? Because of the confirmation that we read in the book. Their flesh was altered, meaning that they was of a spiritual body before they was in a fleshly body. Second, when you first go into the book, the first chapter, it states and tells you about a sea, or a crystal clear lake or sea that tasted like wafer. Okay, and when you look into the water, you can see all the way through to the depths of the earth. We're not talking about a Fiji water that we can see the bottom of the land. We're talking about another dimension that you can see through and see earth from. Okay, third confirmation. We got a couple of them. Third confirmation, we know this is a portal. Gates. Okay, the gate of Eden, right, was guarded by a cherub. All right. So if it's a gate is another word for portal, port. All right. Another word for portal is what we got to understand. Door, or a doorway to heaven, the gates of heaven. These are portals. That's why when we talk about CERN, let's bring it back to 2023 reality, Mandela effect, and all of these things. What are they really trying to do with CERN? They're trying to open up portals. Why? To hit these different dimensions that are mentioned in these spiritualities as a whole. Because these spiritualities and these what we call the New Age movement and all these different things being woke and all of this is not new. This is old as Sumeria. As the Sumerian times, which is claimed to be the first civilization on the planet, this is what all of these spiritualities are dating back to, even before. Okay, so let's not get lost in the sauce thinking we out here kumbaya and we coming up with something new. No, we're not. Okay, so we're dealing with portals. So understanding. Oh, I like that, Lorenzo. All right, so we got to understand that there are portals. And so when we get into the first book, and when we talking about in the Christian religion or the biblical spirituality, because it's a spirituality, it's not a religion. The first thing that it talks about Eden and someone of Eden being cast out of Eden, out of Eden, meaning, boom, you are not allowed in here no more. So when we hear people talking about Eden's on earth and the Garden of Eden, this, that, and the third is here, we know they not in the ballpark. We know they not in the ballpark. So we don't even discuss, we don't even argue with people like that. Okay, so that was the first thing that we went into the cave of treasures. This is why they say we come from cavemen, because if you are dwelling in the wild, or you out here and you ain't got no house, and how are you? What is your go-to shelter when you're out in nature? You ain't build no hut, you ain't build nothing, but you need a shelter. You're either gonna find a cave, or you're trying to get up under a tree, or you're trying to find some cave-like structure to protect you from the elements. Okay, so is there truth in this? Possibly the caveman theory? Possibly, because why? You have to protect yourself from the elements, period. Your fleshly body, period. All right, we have a beastly fleshly body, and it is what it is. We can't run away from it. And how do we know this? Because that's the reality that we live in 2023. All right, we don't have to go outside. We ain't got to go so deep into the book to realize what it is. You get what I'm saying? We can just look in the mirror and see it for what it is. Okay, so that's what we was going into last night, and then we also went into what Adam went through in order for the Christ prophecies to even be prophesied. Okay, we got to remember, and this is the one thing where I want to start at the book of Adam and Eve. We got to remember, if you believe in Jesus, Yeshua, and anything of the Abrahamic religions, you have to remember before Abrahamic, this is an Adamic religion, all right, or spirituality, meaning that every spirituality has its source or has its figure that is representing that spirituality. Every spirituality has it. That's why it says in the BIBLE, don't be of idolatry. It's a reason for that. We're going to go into that. All right. And we're going to bring about how all these spiritualities is older than me and you combined. All right. So Adam, everything that Adam went through is the reason why the Christ figure came back to the planet, represented by the Most High, and then sacrificed himself or herself, however you believe, she, he, they, them, male and female. All right, meaning the sun, the light, not S-O-N, but S-U-N, right? The light. Okay, so it was because of what Adam did. All right, and when I say Adam, I'm talking about Adam and Eve, because we got to remember, when Adam and Eve were created, they were one. That's why when God spoke to Adam, he spoke to both. Okay. All right, so we went over that as well in the book of Adam and Eve. And all of this, the book of Adam and Eve almost got 100 chapters, so you got to do your due diligence. All right, if you don't want to read, get the audio book. All right, it's all the same. It's all the same. Okay, so that's where we left off last night, and we were going into Cain and Abel, and what it says in traditional biblical theology is that Cain was jealous of Abel because Cain or Abel had favor in God's eyes. That's not the case. It's not the case at all. Okay, the problem was, well, first off, we got to get to the root. Cain and Abel are not twins. They're brothers, but not twins. Okay, the twin of Cain her name is Luluwa. Okay, Luluwa. And the twin of Abel is Kalia. Kalia or something like that. Let me go back to the chapter. Matter of fact, I can read it. I ain't even got to play with y'all. All right. So, get back to the book. Y'all give me a second. All right. I'm gonna get it back because I want to get her name. I hate messing up names because it's important, because you gotta know it. All right. So. All right. So, yeah, Kalia. So when Kalia was born, she didn't look as good as Luluwa, because Luluwa is meaning beautiful because she was more beautiful than Eve. Okay. Now Cain became jealous because of his sisters. Okay, because Abel was ordained to marry, or this is what Satan in the vision told Cain, that your mother and father love your brother more because they planned on marrying your sister with him and his sister with thee. Well, audiobook, the audiobook of Adam and Eve. All right, audiobook of Adam and Eve and the conflict of Satan is all over YouTube. All right, we gotta get these good reads in, right? All right, so Cain was not jealous of Abel because God had more favor. Okay, Cain was jealous because he wanted to marry his sister. Okay, we gotta get that. I appreciate the love, appreciate the balls, basketball. All right, so now we're getting into Adam seeing that his son Cain is first. Before I even jump into that, we got to understand who Cain was, what Cain represent. Okay, we got to understand that Cain means hater. All right, Cain means hater. Okay, now this was the whole purpose of the intercourse in the Garden of Eden between Adam, Eve, and what we call Satan, represented as the serpent. We got to understand the serpent spirit or the power is not negative. Why? How do we know this? Because in the book of Enoch, there's an angel, I believe Uriel, one of them, that's over the serpent, the spirit of the serpent. So when we talk about the Naga and all of that different things, we gonna get into that. But there's an angel, all right, of the Most High that's guarding, and that's the leader of the serpent. All right, not the snake, the serpent. All right, or another word for snake, however you want to say it. All right, so let's get into it real quick. All right, birth of Abel and Akilamia. Sorry, her name was Akilamia. All right, so we got to understand that Cain means hater because him and his sister would battle it out in the womb, him and Lulu. Okay, now this was the whole purpose of the intercourse, spiritual intercourse between Adam, Eve, and Satan. Okay, we got to understand what intercourse is. Intercourse is coming together to provide what somebody said conception, or to what eventually create something, all right, through that intercourse. All right, so when we eat, that is a form of intercourse, even though they don't tell us that. That's a form of intercourse because we are we are not only transforming energy and transmitting energy from one thing to another, but from us combining, we are creating something, or something that's being coming in conception in order for something to pass through, or for something to now be created. So when we eat, what is created? Our body creates waste, okay, and takes what it gets the nutrients out and discards the waste. So that's a form of intercourse. When we put lotion on our skin and we put our fragrances on our skin, that is a sign of intercourse. But we think that everything is intercourse from the loins, right? We got to remember, in the Garden of Eden, we was not beastly, so we didn't have to do things in a beastly manner. They didn't even eat and drink the same in the Garden of Eden, as the book confirms. Okay? But in any spirituality, your spiritual body is not the same as your fleshly body. Even if you may look the same, it is not the same. All right? It is altered. Okay? This is why fleshly bodies cannot step on holy ground. All right? It's a duality. There is this. It's a duality. In each duality, it has its differences. Okay. All right. So we got to understand who Cain is. Cain is the hater. All right. Who is also the hater? Satan. Satan is called in the book of Adam and Eve the hater of all good. We got to understand that Satan is a hater. So when the terminology come up where you say, if you ain't got haters, you ain't popping, that started with Adam and Eve. It started with Adam and Eve according to the book. It's not according to me, it's according to the book. And that's what we're going to be coming from. We're going to come from other people's words, meditate on it, pray on it, and then we're going to get into this thing. All right? So Cain was the whole purpose that Satan planted the seed within Eve and Adam, so once they came out of the cave, had actual sexual intercourse to now procreate and multiply, the seed of hatred will be implanted in one of their children. Not only that, in their children's children. All right, it's important. We know this because of the book of Enoch in the flood. All right, so we get here, well, we left off last night to get down to it. That was just kind of a quick run through of everything we went through. Now we can get into Cain and Abel were 3 years apart. Okay, everybody, I hope y'all got everything that we went over last night. I know I ran through it real quick, but I hope you all got it. All right. Now, Cain and Abel were 3 years apart. We got to remember, Cain and Abel are not twins. All right. Love one. Appreciate you coming back. We back in it. All right. So Cain was 15 years old and Abel was 12 years old apart. All right. They're 3 years apart. Another thing about Cain he was like a dictator to his brother. He treated his brother like he tried to overpower him. And we got big brothers like that, where the big brothers, they always trying to poke at us because we the younger brothers, this, that, and the third. I was blessed not to have that. But I know some of us have been in that situation where we got an older brother, and just because he's older, he always try to get off on us and different things like that. Abel was totally opposite. He was meek and he followed the ways of his mother and his father. Cain, not so much. All right, so I'm gonna go we're going right into chapter LXXVII. So we deep in the book. All right, let y'all know we ain't been playing. So it says, but when Adam saw that the elder brother hated the younger brother, hated is key, because the reason why people want to come out here with the love game is because of this, of hate. Because hate is what's supposed to be the polar opposite of love. All right. So it says, but when Adam saw that the elder brother hated the younger, he endeavored to soften their hearts and said unto Cain, take, O my son, of the fruits of thy sowing, and make an offering unto God, that he may forgive thee thy wickedness and thy sin. All right. Let's put this in context. How did Cain sin according to last night? He listened to Satan when Satan enticed him and kindled a hatred spirit that he already had, and burned it even more when he said and told him about his sister being married unto Abel. The jealousy of Cain. This is where it starts. Okay. So that's where his wickedness and sin started. All right. It's because he hearkened his ear to listen to Satan. Then not only that, he got emotional behind it. And then Cain became the vessel to kill Abel. Because if Satan couldn't kill Adam, he will kill Abel. Okay. This is what this is about. He said also to Abel, take thou of thy sowing and make an offering, bring it to God, and he may forgive thy wickedness and thy sin. Same thing to Abel. Then Abel hearkened unto his father's voice and took his sowing and made a good offering, and said to his father Adam, come with me to show me how to offer it up. All right. So if y'all peep, look how Abel came off. Abel came off a pops, boo, boo, boo. It ain't the fact that, the crazy part about it, it ain't the fact that Abel didn't know how to offer it up. He just simply wanted his father to show him all over again. I want his father to be present while he was offering it up. Because how do we know this? Because they've been taught how to offer and do offerings since they was children. Okay, so this wasn't nothing new, because he was already going to the offering with his mother and father, but this was the first time that Abel actually did the offering. It's you gotta know that and put that in context. Okay. And it says, and then went Adam and Eve with him and showed him how to offer it up upon the altar. Then after that, they stood up and prayed that God would accept Abel's offering. Then God looked upon Abel's and accepted his offering. And God was more pleased with Abel than with his offering, because of his good heart and pure body, there was no trace of guile in him. Okay, so when we even get back to what the Bible has conformed us to believe about Cain and Abel, what was the real reason why the Most High favored Abel? It ain't have nothing to do with the offering. Nothing. The offering was a byproduct. It had everything to do with his good heart and pure body. Good heart, pure body. Nothing to do with the offering. Nothing. All right. So it said, then they came down from the altar and went to the cave in which they dwelt. But Abel, by reason of his joy at having made his offering, repeated it 3 times a week after the example of his father. So it goes into what I just told you. It ain't the fact that Abel wasn't used to seeing the offering or being around the offering. It was his first time doing it himself. So he seek guidance in his mother and father. Now, Cain went? Why? Because his dad told him. Okay, we have to assume that Cain went. Just because it don't say it in scripture, you gotta assume it, because you gotta put 2 and 2 together. You can't. It's an unseen and it's a seen world, and you gotta merge them together through prayer and meditation. All right, so we know Cain went, but Cain did not ask his mother and father. So what we reading is the difference between the 2 brothers. Then not only did Abel seek guidance, he then went back another 3 times a week. So that go into a lot of us When we in our personal development, let's bring it back to 2023. Let's bring it back to reality, right? So that goes into when we in our personal development, we got coaches in personal development, right? And they say the action takers are the ones that see the success, but the ones that's having procrastination, they lagging, they glitching, they ain't getting on it. That's what we seeing right now, okay? Abel loved it so much, he started doing it 3 times a week. He took the action to please the Most High in order to regain, not even regain, but to keep favor. Okay? He accepted the offering. You got to remember, God was more pleased with Abel than his offering because of his good heart and pure body. There was no trace of guile in him. Okay? So we got to see what the Most High is looking at, because in other spiritualities, it's going to tell you the same exact thing. All right, it's going to talk about the heart and the pure body, pure mind, pure soul. Okay. So there was no trace of guile in him. But then what was more pleasing was the repeated action steps that he took in order to be successful, like his father Adam. So we bring that 2023. If you being lazy and you're not taking actions, what happens? You get left behind. Right or wrong? That's what happens. All right, we got to bring it back into reality, because we got to remember, right? These are supposed to be people like me and you, meaning emotional, feeling people. Okay, so we can't take this out of context thinking these guys ancient, walking around in robes and all of this. They might have been, but we can't take it out of context of who they are. Okay, because we got to remember, according to this book, that's who we are the seed of, according to this book, in this story. All right, we're not saying that it's real. We're not saying that it's fake. We going off of scholarship right now. We're not putting no feelings into it. We're not going off of what we want to think it is. All right. So then it came to example, but as to Cain, he took no pleasure in offering. Okay, no pleasure. All right, no joy. But after much anger on his father's part, he offered up his gift once. And when he did offer up, his eyes was on the offering he made, and he took the smallest of his sheep for an offering, and his eye was again on it. All right, now let's get back into the beginning of this verse. Do you ever question what your ancestors would think of you assuming the beliefs of your oppressor? Well, it'll be funny, because my ancestors would know that their oppressor is their brother. That's what's funny about it, to be honest. Not only that, who says that the ancestors ain't write this? We believe in the hokey pokey Indian tribes and all of this, but then we believe in Greek, Egyptian. We got ox tatted in the eye of horse, but they ain't got no body parts for horse. They ain't got no skeleton figures. We get, y'all tell me. So this is why we got to go over these spiritualities, because we get questions like this, right? We get questions like this. Our ancestors would know for sure who the oppressor is, right? And we still know who it is. A lot of us too scared to say anything, but I call it how I see it. A lot of the oppressors look like me and you. Skin tone and all. A lot of these people that you think are oppressing us are puppets. It's so much bigger than what we think, because they made it bigger than what we think. Okay, now this is why we getting into this stuff, because we got to understand that it's very simple. It's a basic complexity. All right. So let's get back. Adam said, when Adam saw the elder brother hated the younger brother, he endeavored to soften their hearts and said unto Cain, O ye, take of the fruits of thy sowing and make an offering upon God. Fruits of sowing. What did he offer up? What did he offer up? Because Pop said fruits. He offered up the smallest of his sheep for an offering. I thought, according to the Bible that we read in church and all of this, I thought Cain had the veggies and stuff and the fruit. No, it don't say that. It say he offered up the smallest of his sheep. All right, and then not only that, kept his eyes on it, meaning he didn't pray and then he didn't ask the Most High to accept it. This is the difference that we seeing take place between the two brothers. Character is key. Let's break it down in 2023. Your character is key. How you carry yourself is key. All right? And we're going to break that down in other spiritualities as well, because when we're dealing with the law of karma and all of these different things. All right? Because we got to remember, that's law of karma is not a Abrahamic or Adamic spirituality. That's something else. All right? Even though it shows examples of it in Scripture. All right? So therefore, God did not accept his offering because his heart was full of murderous thoughts. So he was already thinking about killing Cain or killing Abel before they had even offered anything up. You believe? I'm just finding that out, that part. You believe in God? That's what I'm saying. That's why we doing it. We gotta understand it. There's only one source of all things. Right? It's only one source of all things. We breaking this down to figure out what is the true and living God, the source of all things, the Most High, and then what is man-made. Right? A lot of these guys we serving and praising is man-made. Period. Ain't no run around it. Ain't no running around it. If you can see your God, it might be over with for you. Just being honest with you. Because a lot of us we don't have the eyes to see. Okay? We don't have the eyes to see. And that goes for the ones that want to be the most spiritual, that know the Father's name. They still ain't seeing him. They calling his name every day. The name that they say supposed to be his real name. So, do I believe in God? No, I believe in the Most High, the source of all things that create gods. That's what I believe in. I believe in a God creator. If you could get that and even grasp that, that's what we own here. And that's why we break down these spiritualities. Because when I was in meditation, Source told me, don't shun no spirituality. Don't break down none of your brethren. Because at the end of the day, y'all all talking about the same thing. The same thing. And it all come from the same source. The problem is some of us was misguided from who the source was. And so now we in the dilemma that we in now. A prime mover. What is that? I like that. Explain that a little bit more for me, nothing. All right. So we see now that Cain was already thinking murderous thoughts before he had even offered anything up to the Most High. So when we talking about him he was thinking about killing his brother Abel. He was already thinking about this days before the offering. So this had nothing to do with the favor of God. Nothing. We be putting stuff on God and the Most High. It ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm just saying God because that's in the Scripture right now. Usually I say the Most High, the creator of all things, source. All right. You say you got a name, sure. By all means, call him till you turn blue. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully it'll work. That's all I can say. All right. So murderous thoughts, and they all thus lived together in the cave in which Eve had brought forth until Cain was 15 years old and Abel was 12. All right. So that's when they was 15 and 12. All right. All right. So we got to remember too, now we getting into the whole how Cain even planned to even kill his brother. We got to remember that Satan came down to Cain and gave him the whole rundown on how to do it and where to take him. Okay. Let's go. And then Adam said to Eve, behold, the children are growing up. We must think of finding wives for them. Then Eve answered, how can we do it? Then Adam said to her, we will join Abel's sister in marriage to Cain, and Cain's sisters to Abel. And then said Eve to Adam, I do not like Cain. He is hard-hearted, but let them bide until we offer up unto the Lord in their behalf. And Adam said no more. All right, let me see what we got. I used to not to believe I would meditate and got information from the universe. I thought God as the universe, but now I turn towards the Holy Trinity, Jesus, the Lord. But it's all right. We all different in belief. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, once you find out the universe is created, is a created being or a created source, it's like, okay, then at the end of the day, well, what created the universe that everybody talking about they getting power from? You know? All right, so we see what happened. Boom, just as Satan has prophesied. Now, can Satan prophesy? He just did. So when we get people on here and they're giving you prophetic words, and you might, the thing is, let me read this first so y'all can get the gist of where we going with this, because y'all already, some of y'all probably already seen TikToks where there's been people on here talking about clones and all this other stuff. So let's get into this real quick. Okay. Now it said, meanwhile, Satan came to Cain in the figure of a man of the field and said to him, behold, Adam and Eve have taken counsel together about the marriage of you two, and they have agreed to marry Abel's sister to thee and thy sister to him. Remember, the first vision that he had, first it was an apparition. Now he's having a full-on vision as if it was real. Okay? Now, when we see them people that they say some crazy stuff, or they see something, we be calling them bots and all this stuff out here and clones and all this stuff. Some of this stuff be because you'll never see that person again. All right? Go inside. I'm on live right now. Right? You'll never see that person again, but they done said some stuff to you, and now they got you thinking all type of way, done threw your energy off, all type of stuff, and you don't even know the person. Never even seen a person a day in your life, and you never seen them ever again in your life. You got to remember, in this spiritual journey, we on a lot of different spiritual paths. We talking about astral projecting, daydreaming, meditation, out-of-body experience. Well, in all this process, you don't think nobody can just pop up to you and then pop up? Sometimes we get so in the sauce when we actually, and then we get so in the sauce, but then so biased at the same time. When we see the sauce in front of us, we still biased and trying to be in the sauce at the same time, and it's not working. Because in order to be truly spiritual, you got to be accepting of all things. Yeah, I ain't saying you got to agree with it, but you got to accept it for what it is. That's why we got to do this journey, right, together. Same idea, prime mover would be a being responsible for initiating plans, ideas. Ooh, there you go. I like that. I'm going to use that, nothing. If you don't mind, I might use that one, boy. Prime mover. All right. So, as we see, Satan came to this man, to Cain, in the figure of a man of the field, meaning a farmer, and then told him about what his mama and dad just talked about. Come on. So when we see these things, now we know there's an outside force of the Most High that has permission to do works according to their will. If we ain't even went into this yet. Okay, we ain't even went into this yet. But according to their will. So if everybody trying to get up here and do stuff. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, in the house. Don't come back out here. So it threw me off. But anyways, so that's why we on this journey. All right. That's why we on this journey. So we got to remember that in the spiritual journey, everything ain't sunshine and rainbows. And we got to remember, if you all spiritual in this sector, you got to be all spiritual in the next sector. You can't just be spiritual when you want to be spiritual in all of this, and according to whatever spirituality you want to know. And you can't shun away no other spiritualities. You cannot you cannot agree with it, but you got to accept it for what it is. You got to accept it for what it is, because your brothers and sisters out here believing it, knowing it, and aware of it, and they doing whatever it is by it. So you got to accept it. I can't shun away my brothers and sisters because they don't agree with everything that I say. That's okay. That's okay. But we can still be unified and disagree. It's going to become a time for all of that, as we know. But I'm just making y'all aware it's okay to disagree with somebody and still accept them. Okay? All right. So, as we seen, Satan came to Cain as a man, told him. All right? It was crazy. So it was crazy according to the scripture. So it says, but if it was not that I loved thee, I would not have told thee these things. Yet if thou wilt take my advice and hearken to me, I will bring thee on thy wedding day beautiful robes, gold, silver, in plenty, and my relations will attend thee. Then Cain said with joy, what are thy relations? All right. So look at this. First, Satan came to Cain in the figure of a man, told him about what Adam and Eve was counseling about them in marriage. But then he said, this is the kicker, bro. This is the tricknology at its best. Look at the wordplay. Look at the game that's being spit. All right. That's why most of us, we get distracted by words, by the game, by the finesse, by it sounding so, oh, it sounds good. Oh, he know what he talking. He know what he talking about. It said, but if it was not that I love thee. What? What? What are you talking about, Satan? Satan can't love who? Himself. Maybe, not even. He hate himself so much, he wanted to be casted out out the heavens. And then got mad at Adam and them, at Adam and Eve, because once their punishment is fulfilled, they get a seat in the heavenly thing that he was once of. Don't that sound like a hater? You gonna get mad at yourself and throw yourself out, and then get mad at the person that's gonna replace you. How you gonna get mad at me and I ain't have nothing to do with you getting kicked out in the first place? So when Satan say words like this, love, you be like, whoa, bruh, wait, you very deceitful. So when we talk about tricknology is what? The science of deceiving. All right. And this is what these people are masters at. This is the seed that Satan planted. This is the conception he wanted to have so he can birth this child. All right. These children, I should say, that we see. And when I say children, we talk about spirits and energy. See, one thing I learned in meditation, that spirit is also energy. So when we hear people saying these energies are arising, it's the spirits arising. And spirit does not, is a neutral word, but you put good or bad or evil or bad or good on the end of it. That's what makes it a certain frequency now. Okay, depending on where the source of the frequency in the spirit comes from. That's very important. That's why you got to read the book of Enoch very carefully. Take some things literal if you want, but a lot of things you got to take with a grain of salt, because you got to understand what Enoch was having was visions and apparitions, not going through things physically. How do we know this? Because Enoch says it. So when we get into the book of Enoch, it's one of the first things we're going to go over, understanding that Enoch was having visions and not really going through these things that we think that he was going through. And Enoch died. He did not get took up. But that's a whole it's a whole other thing, okay? So, all right. All right. So Satan said, but if it was not that I loved thee, the hater of all things loving somebody. Wow. I would not have told thee these things. Yet if thou wilt take my advice, hearken to me, I will bring thee on thy wedding day beautiful robes, gold, silver, in plenty, and my relations will attend. Now, this is the first time we heard Cain get joy. It said, then Cain said with joy. What are relations? What's relations? What's those? 15, 17, 18-year-old jit. Man, what's that? What? That's a girl? I can mess with those? I can stick that where? All right. And Satan answered, my relations are in a garden in the north, whither I once meant to bring thy father Adam, but he would not accept my offer. All right, let's go. But thou, if thou wilt receive my words, if thou wilt come unto me after thy wedding, thou shalt rest from thy misery in which thou art, and thou shalt rest and be better off than thy father Adam. That's some big words. That's some big words. Talking to Cain. Some big words. All right? Because we're going to compare all of this stuff. All right? You got to remember, it's not about how you start. It's about how we end. It's about how we end. It's not about how we start. It's about how we end. Okay? Because Cain got rich. His kids got rich. Beyond what we think. His children still doing their thing today. According to this book. Okay? So, in these words of Satan, Cain opened his ears and leaned towards his speech. And he did not remain in the field, but he went to, went to Eve, his mother, and beat her and cursed her and said to her, why are ye about taking my sister to wed her to my brother? Am I dead? Listen to what Cain just said to his mama. All right. First, he went in there and beat his mama. Think about this. Now, we get whoopings from mama all day. We'll take that book. Hey, mama, my fault. Go ahead. You the little ugly cry. You know what I'm saying? This man went in the room to the cave of treasures and beat his mama. Yeah, please, Eagle. Go ahead. Go ahead. So this man went to the cave, beat his mother. Look how wicked this dude is. Look how wicked this dude is. Go ahead and ask the question, Eagle. So, man, went in there and beat it. Some people out here still beating their mamas, fight their own mama. All right? That's that. Now we know what spirit that comes from. See, this is why other books are important, because we be thinking things, well, why would God allow you to do this and allow this? Man, everything is everything. Everything is everything. He allows it because that's our punishment. That's why we got to read the book. Our punishment is what we in. Our punishment is what we go through. Eating is a punishment. Us having to eat and not being able to fast all day, every day, and keep pure light bodies. It's a punishment, because in eating, you're allowed that. All right. In eating, you're allowed that. We'll get into the Tartarians and the Betharians and all that. That's a whole nother ordeal where the Most High explained who the people that did not eat or drink were. So we're going to get, Tartaria was spoke about in scripture. A lot of people don't know about it, but especially during the times of the giants. These were the ones that did not eat or sleep. Certain ones, eat or drink. All right. But we're going to get into that when it's time to get into that. I don't want to bring it before it's time. Eagle, you still ain't answer your question, and you still in here. You can answer it, bro. All right. So this guy done beat his mama. His mother, however, quieted him and sent him to the field where he had been. All right. Then when Adam came, she told him of what Cain had done, but Adam grieved and held his peace and said not a word. All right. Adam was like, man, let me just not say something, because if I say something, well, it's going to be over with. All right. Then on the morrow, all right, the next day, Adam said unto Cain, his son, take thy sheep, young and good, and offer them up unto thy God, and I will speak to thy brother to make unto his God an offering of corn. All right. They both hearkened to their father Adam, and they took their offering and offered them up the mountain by the altar. But Cain behaved haughtily towards his brother. All right. and thrust him from the altar, and would not let him offer up his gift upon the altar. But he offered his own upon it with a proud heart full of guile and fraud. All right, man. So now we finna see what separated Cain and Abel. All right, the real favor of God and why God favored Abel. So it ain't have nothing to do with no sheep and no fruit lacking and veggies. Because as we seen, because in this book, the colonial Bible, right? I'll read it because you still get some answers in here. All right, or some beginning to be answers. And they said Abel offered the lamb and the sheep, and Cain was the one with the sack of potatoes and the dirty veggies. Okay, but according to this book, it's flipped. That's why we gotta have discernment. Okay, and so, but as for Abel, remember now, Cain just threw him off the altar, threw him down the hill a little bit. As for Abel, he set up stones that were near at hand, and upon that he offered up his gift with a heart humble and free of guile. Cain was then standing by the altar on which he had offered up his gift, and he cried unto God to accept his offering, but God did not accept it from him. Neither did a divine fire come down to consume his offering. But he remained standing over against the altar out of humor and wrath, looking toward his brother Abel to see if God would accept his offering or not. And Abel prayed unto God to accept his offering. Then a divine fire came down and consumed his offering. And God smelled the sweet savor of his offering, because Abel loved him and rejoiced in him. God ain't picking favorites because you chose the right veggies and a nice red cut of meat. It's not why he's choosing people. He's choosing people based off your character, based off your heart, based off your integrity, what you do when nobody looking. This is stuff that's all relatable to the world that we live in now. This ain't nothing that's out of the norm. This is just a story. But every story has a moral to the story. So we got to figure out these morals. Okay? We got to figure out these morals in every spirituality. All right? We got to get the root, and we got to get down to the root of them. So that's the reason why God accepted it. It's the second time he accepted Abel's offering because of what? Who he was as a person, as a man. He didn't like Cain because of who he was as a man. And not only that, bro, you hearkening your ear to the enemy. Not only the enemy I gave the job to. I gave him that job. Now you listening to him before you. Then not only that, you're more concerned with your offering than concerned with the Most High. The relationship with the Most High. Because that's what we're dealing with. Abel look like he got a nice relationship. Cain don't look like he got one at all, but he look like he got one with Satan. All right. All right. Let's see where I want to go with it. All right. So now we're going to get after the offering and everything, and we're going to go into Cain actually planning to attempt to murder his brother Abel. And we're going to get into that, and we're going to see how he started to premeditate in this. All right. So it says, as to Cain, he was so sullen and so angry that he went into the field where Satan came to him and said to him, since thy brother Abel has taken refuge with thy father Adam, because thou didst thrust him from the altar, they have kissed his face, and they rejoiced over him far more than over thee. When Cain heard these words of Satan, he was filled with rage, and he let no one know. So there we go again. When you don't release that rage, and you don't question the things that Satan spit into you, okay? Satan has came up in the form of a thought, a vision, an apparition, many forms, okay? And this is what other spirituality is going to tell us. I'm just giving you the hint now. Because when we go into these other spiritualities, yeah, they got a different name, but they all doing the same thing. And they represent the same thing. It's a reason for that. All right? And we're going to get into that. But we got to go through these spiritualities first. All right? So when Cain heard these words from Satan, he was filled with rage. And he let no one know. So he bottled his anger up. All right. And you know how it is when you bottle your emotions up. It's just a matter of time before you what? You break. It's just a matter of time. That's with any good, loving person. They ain't got to be a evil person to know what's going to happen when you bottle your emotions up and your feelings up and you don't express them properly. Right? You don't expose them properly. All right. But he was lying wait to kill his brother until he brought him into the cave, and then said to him, "Oh, brother, the country is so beautiful, and there are such beautiful and pleasurable trees in it, and charming. Look at it. But brother, thou hast never been one day in the field to take thy pleasure therein. Today, O my brother, I very much wish thou wouldest come with me to the field and enjoy thyself and bless our fields and our flock, for thou art righteous, and I love thee much. O my brother, but thou hast estranged thyself from me." Did y'all just hear what I just read? Y'all peeped that, right? Now, Cain ain't never came at his brother like this. We already got in context that Cain was like a dictator to his brother. He was one of them older brothers always trying to push his little brother around. We know those types. We've seen them or we've dealt with them. But now all of a sudden, it's, "Oh, brother, the country is so beautiful. Your whole voice done changed, bro. What you got up your sleeve?" All right? It say, but brother, thou hast never been one day in the field to take thy pleasure therein. Oh, today, oh, my brother, I would very much like if you would come with me into the field and enjoy thyself and bless our fields and our flocks. What? When? It ain't never just been ours. It's always been me and you. For thou art righteous, and I love thee much, O my brother, but thou hast estranged thyself from me. What? Who he sound like talking? Satan just hit him with the same thing. The same finesse game, the same wordplay. So let's get back into the moral of this story with Cain and Abel. Why did Cain kill Abel? Right? Why did Cain kill Abel? Because he was jealous that his sister was going to marry his younger brother and he was going to get his younger sister. Because it was what he wanted. It wasn't the will of his father and his mother. Not only that, Satan had already put the bug in his ear that his father and mother was going to do that before they had even took counsel of it. Meaning that Satan can also be prophetic and prophesy and have foresight. So you got to be careful. All right. So this ain't about the favor. It was about the favor after the fact that Cain tried to what? Belittle his brother again like he always do. And then what? They're able to build his own offer and the Most High accepted it. All right. With a divine fire that consumed his offering. Okay. That consumed his offering. Now all of a sudden Cain coming with the happy-go-lucky pitch to try to pull his brother off. So what is it telling us? We can't always go with the people that make it sound good. Just because they say they love you don't mean they ain't going to do no dirt behind you. We can compare this in real life. That's the whole point of everything. We need a real comparison. Because these people are representing us because according to these scriptures, we are the seed of them. So we will have what? Traits that are similar. Not only that, this is part of the punishment for falling. We think punishment is a bad thing. Punishment it can be seen good if you don't remember where you came from. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the love. But punishment can seem really good if you don't know where you came from. We eat candy all day with sugar, especially me. I got a bad sweet tooth. No, it ain't good for me. But we do it anyway, right or wrong. It's punishment all the way across the board. And the punishment won't end until it has ended. So when we see these things happening, we can't question God. We have to be accepting of the punishment. And just because you might see somebody living, they enjoying their life, right? Even though they're enjoying life within punishment, it's still punishment. Because Adam and Eve enjoyed life, but knew in the back of their mind that this was still what? Punishment. They experienced great joy, great pain, different emotions. And all of those consist of the punishment that we have to do in this realm. All right, so and we can say, I ain't gonna get into that. I ain't gonna get into that Bobby Hemmett moment real quick. We'll say that for later. All right. So as we see, Cain done changed his whole voice. He trying to get his brother to come out here to the field with him and throw him off game. And what happens? Then Abel consented to go with his brother into the field, just like any other loving brother. I don't think my brother gonna do evil towards me. We supposed to be praising the Most High. Supposed to be. But somebody's over there listening to Satan and somebody's not. All right, but before going out, Abel said, then wait for me until I fetch a staff because of wild beasts. Then Abel stood waiting in his innocence, but Cain, the forward, fetched a staff and went out. And they began, Cain and his brother Abel, to walk in the way. Cain talking to him and comforting him to make him forget everything. See, that's what distractions do. That's what distractions do. That's why we got to be deliberate. Because distractions, even in 2023, distractions to make you forget everything you were supposed to do that day. Or during that hour. Dang, I done got on here doing this and doing that and totally forgot what I came here to do. It's distractions. It's distractions. No matter how small the purpose, we can't get distracted from it because there's a purpose. Okay. All right, here it goes. Here we go. This is where the fun begins. All right, so look. Say then Abel, then Cain said unto him, come on, and presently thou shalt see more beautiful things, but go before thee until I come up to thee. Then Abel went forward, and Cain remained behind him. Abel was walking in his innocence without guile, not believing his brother would kill him. Then Cain, when he came up to him, comforted him with his talk, walking a little behind him. Then he hastened and smote him with the staff, blow upon blow, until he was stunned. But when Abel fell down upon the ground, seeing that his brother meant to kill him, he said to Cain, O my brother, have pity on me. By the breast we have sucked, smite me not. By the womb that bare us, that brought us into the world, smite me not. Unto death with the staff. If thou wilt kill me, take one of these large stones and kill me outright. Y'all better stop playing. Y'all give me a second. We gotta stop playing with it. We gotta stop playing with it, y'all. My boy Abel said, But don't keep hitting me with these sorry behind blows from the staff. If you're going to kill me right now. Kill me right now. Take me out. If you're going to take me out, headshot me. Don't hit me with the little 22s and nah, take me out now. All right, stay focused, exactly. Stay focused, because this is how they take us out. They catch us when we slipping. They catch us when we don't think nothing of it. This is how it goes down. Even though we might not want it to go down like that, even if we just like Abel, we innocent, without guile, not even thinking that our homeboy, our brother will take us out of here. You don't know. You don't know. Then Cain, the hard-hearted and cruel murderer, took a large stone and smote his brother with it upon thy head until his brains oozed out, and he wilted in his blood before him. That was graphic, so y'all can picture how Abel went out. You can picture how he went out. Okay? All right, so you got that. Let's see here. All right, now, once Cain had dug into the earth had literally spat Abel out. Spat him out. He tried to dig up under the soil, and the earth was regurgitating Abel. Okay? And the earth cried out to the Most High and told him what Cain did. All right? It said, and when then cast his brother into a pit he made and covered him with dust, but the earth would not receive him, but it threw him up at once. And again did Cain dig the earth and hid his brother, but again the earth threw him up, until 3 times did the earth threw up on itself the body of Abel. The muddy earth threw him up the first time because he was not the first creation. It threw him up the second time and would not receive him because he was righteous and good and was killed without cause. And the earth threw him up the third time and would not receive him, that there might remain before his brother a witness against him. And so did the earth mock Cain until the word of God came to him concerning his brother. This is the first time that the word of God talking to Cain, even Cain, from a thought, a vision, anything that we know of according to this particular text, because it might be another text that's out there that might say something different. Okay? So we see that Cain murdered his brother, but killed his brother, murdered his brother. And so let's get into the curse of Cain, okay? Because this is another misconception. The curse of Cain, let's get into it. It says, then Cain trembled and became terrified through this sign. Did God make him an example before all the creation as the murderer of his brother? Also did God bring trembling and terror upon him, that he might see the peace in which he was at first, and see also the trembling and terror he endured at the last, so that he might humble himself before God and repent of his sin, and seek the peace he enjoyed at first. And in the word of God that said, I will forego, I will forego 7 punishments on whomsoever kills Cain. God was not seeking to kill Cain with the sword, but he sought to make him die of fasting and praying and weeping by hard rule until the time that he was delivered from his sins. And the 7 punishments are the 7 generations during which God awaited Cain for the murder of his brother. But as to Cain, ever since he had killed his brother, he would not find rest in any place, but went back to Adam and Eve, trembling, terrified, and defiled with blood. Cain ain't even kill himself off. He still had Abel blood on him. But did y'all get what the mark was on Cain? Let me go back real quick so we don't even miss it. All right. It said, but Cain wept because God had said those words to him. And, oh God, whoever find me shall kill me, blah, blah, blah. That's what Cain trying to find mercy. So then God said unto Cain, whosoever shall find thee shall not kill thee, because before this God had been saying to Cain, I shall forego 7 punishments who's killed Cain, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's it. Let me go back to... All right, and Cain trembled and became terrified, and through this sign did God make him an example for all creation. So what was Cain? Cain was the one that was trembling of fear, shaking. That's what we talking about. See, we think it's a skin tone or a leprous. No, something is people with all of this. Now they got diseases and all this stuff for this stuff. Disease names. That's just not cool though. I know, right? On dishonoring Jesus, 1 Corinthians, hat on dishonoreth Jesus, 1 Corinthians 11:4. Huh, yeah, appreciate it. All right, so we see that. All right. All right, now we getting into the second book of Adam and Eve. And that might be where we stop at, y'all. Because unless y'all got some questions for me. Because I am gonna get on a little bit later on tonight. We're gonna go in on the second. We can go in on the second book. We had chapter 1. We just got done with that. So the first book of Adam and Eve ended with Cain killing Abel. The second book starts with him taking his sister Lulua, and they go into the land where he killed Abel, and then producing children, marrying and producing children. All right. So it says, when Lulua heard Cain's words, she wept and went to her father and mother and told them how that Cain had killed his brother Abel. All right. So Cain ain't even tell him. Lulua tell him. All right. Then they all cried out aloud and lifted up their voice and slapped their faces and threw dust upon their heads and rent asunder their garments and went out and came to the place where Abel was killed. So basically, they just went ahead and had a whole breakdown and then went out there to find him because they had never experienced anything like this. Now you can imagine somebody, baby. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how y'all mamas be out there in the streets when stuff get crazy out here in the world. You know? Let's do. I'm gonna come on 10 at 10:10. 10:10. Hey. All right, we're gonna come on 10:10 later on tonight, but I'm gonna finish this real quick. Finish chapter 1 and 2, because it might mention something that I low-key want to get into, but I know if I get into that, I could go on here for another 2 hours. That ain't what I really want to do. All right, so I want to take my time. All right, so it went to find Cain, blah, 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 blah. And Eve continued fasting and praying, da, da, da. Okay, boom. All right, so now after Cain killed, as for Cain, when the mourning for his brother was ended, he took his sister Lulua and married her without leave from his father and mother, for they could not keep him from her by reason of their heavy heart. Okay. Hey. All right. So by reason of their heavy heart. All right. He went and then said he then went down to the bottom of the mountain away from the garden near the place where he had killed his brother. All right. So it said he went down the mountain away from the garden near near to the place where he had killed his brother. All right. All right. So we see that he went off by himself and started his own cities. 10:10 Eastern time. So that's 9:10 Central. That's 9:10 Central. Yeah, because it's 3:25 where I'm at. In the FLA. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's go into chapter 2 real quick. If y'all got any last minute questions, I'll stay on for another about 20 minutes if y'all got any questions, but only if y'all got questions that I can, we can get into real quick for the last 20 minutes. If not, y'all can hold them till later on tonight. All right, so chapter 2 is getting ready to get into Seth. And Seth, and why Seth was named Seth. Seth means that God has heard my prayer and has delivered me out of my affliction. But it means also power and strength. Okay, because we got to remember in Hebrew, the symbols, it can be two symbols that mean two different things, but when they bring it together, it means another thing. Okay, so we got to understand why if somebody's named something, they got two meanings. That's the reason why we got to think about the Hebrew alphabet. A lot of people for centuries, for a while, people was like Hebrew a fake language and this, that, and the third. But that's what it was designed to be. It was designed to be that way because it's like it says in scripture that the chosen ones are the elect are going to their nation, their people, as in their nation, who they are and what they represent will be wiped off the face of the earth, meaning that people would do everything in their power to keep it down, to keep it hidden, even though the people are still here. All they did was transform their minds, put them under a different name, and then domesticate them, all right, or indoctrinate them, is what we like to say now. So that's a lot of what we're dealing with as well, right, as y'all already know. All right, so we just basically getting into Seth now and everything. The total of children that Adam and Eve had together was 5. It was not 2. It was not 4, but 5. That is key. That is essential to knowing everything. Why? Because when you go do the scientific research based on how population grows, the world we live in could easily been started from 4 or 5 people. Just being honest. I'm just being honest. All right? 4 to 5 people. All right? Not only that, you have to remember everybody comes of age till adulthood between 12 and 15. So when you get to these ages, you can start to be getting married. That's according to the body, not me. Your body makeup. It's not me talking. It's your body makeup talking. Okay? I ain't trying to say that because that ain't on no perverse level or nothing. I'm just putting that in reality in 2023 so we can understand and understand that we all are brothers and sisters and distant cousins and nephews and nieces. All right? But that's in any spirituality when we look down back to this stuff, because a lot of this stuff have similar creation stories, right? All right, so I'll get on here about another 20 minutes and then I get off. I'm just rant these last about 20 minutes, y'all. So if y'all was here for the lesson, y'all want to leave, by all means, we'll be back on 10:10 tonight, going into the second book, starting at the chapter 2, getting into who Seth was. That's going to be big, big, big. All right, understanding who Seth was, because we got, man, a lot of us If you grew up in the church like me, you never knew who Seth was. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us never knew who Abraham truly was. A lot of us never knew who Noah truly was. A lot of us never knew who Enoch truly was, because if we only read from this biblical text, these biblical texts that they gave us to, you know what I'm saying? We are one. I like that. You're exactly right. So, So a lot of these things have been misinformed, and some of the gaps that we've been looking to fill have not been filled. So this is why we're going to start with this religion or spirituality first, and we're going to go into these other ones. One thing that I've come to learn about all of this in the spirituality is said in the book of Jasher best. Okay, when it was explaining, what's up, Michael? So when in the book of Jasher, it explains it best when Abraham went to offer his son Isaac. Okay, when he went to offer his son Isaac, something very, very important happened that now it distinguishes who has it and who doesn't. All right, and I'm not saying that any of us have it, and I'm not saying that any of us do have it, but I want to show you the difference. So in the book of Jasher, it says that when Abraham took Isaac to the mountain, before they went to the mountain, he asked everybody that was went with them if they seen the sign that the Most High told him he would see, on which mountaintop to go to make the sacrifice. The sign was a cloud standing over it with a great light from heaven coming down. Excuse me. All right. So once the sign appeared and Abraham saw it, the first thing that he did, he turned to his son Isaac, and he said to Isaac, "Do you see on the mountaintop the same as I see?" Isaac answered, "Yes, Father, I see it." He looked at his oldest son, Ishmael, the Ishmaelites. Y'all know him. He turned to him and said, "Son, do you see what's on the mountaintop?" Son Ishmael said, "No, I don't see it." He looked at Eliezer, however you pronounce it, his right-hand servant that he gained from King Nimrod. I hope I said that right. That he gained from King Nimrod. If not, he gained it from the king of the Philistines. It was one of those two. He asked him, "Do you see the sign? What do you see on the mount?" He said, "Abraham, I don't see nothing." Instantly, he took him and Isaac and went up. That showed me that everybody will not be able to see it. Everybody won't be able to hear it, and everybody won't be able to speak it. All right, so we got to realize that once I realized that, this is another thing I realized, that then everything that was a signal or a sign from the Father was only seen by the ones chosen to see it. I was like, ain't no way. I'm in meditation talking to myself, ain't no way. Ain't no way. But then I thought about it. So now we got to go back to Exodus, the book of Moses, the burning bush. If there was other people around, they didn't see the burning bush, but I know who did see the burning bush. His name was Moses. So then I go into everything. When he went up to the mountain in the Ten Commandments and it's talking about the cloud and all of these different things, the people didn't see it. Moses did. But Moses couldn't speak it. Aaron spoke it. Because everybody can't see, and everybody can't speak, and everybody can't hear. So I'm just like, but this is crazy. What's going on? We all broke the law of Moses. So, man, we broke all them laws. Long time ago in commandments and different things. It wasn't just during the time of Moses. Moses was just like second run at it, all of this stuff. All right, because we gotta stick to the Adamic thing. I know I went into Moses, but I went into Moses because I wanted you to see that everything that Moses was saying that he saw in the Bible during Exodus, everybody that was following him didn't see it. Exactly, it's nothing new under the sun. All right, nothing new under the sun. So Everybody can't see it. Another confirmation for this is in the book of Adam and Eve, is when Adam said, when we was in the garden, we could see all the way up to heaven in his host. Meaning the kingdom of heaven, not the heavens. We see the heavens all day when we look up the heavens. But the kingdom of heaven is totally different, and you have to have a different eye to see it. Okay? You can't see upon it with a fleshly eye, but you have to see upon it with the spiritual eye. That's why it says, use thine eye, third eye, the spiritual eye. Right? All right. We got to remember that intelligence, though, was for the book of Eden. Was for the Garden of Eden. So he was intelligent, but he was intelligent in what he had been created in. See, we had the misconception that he was also created as in the sense of from the dust of the actual earth. That's not exactly what happened. He was formed from a spiritual dust, because there's an unseen world and a seen world when we start talking about this Garden of Eden thing. I don't know nothing but about this third eye. All right, so we can get into that. We can end on that. I think that's good. We can get into that because that's going to lead us into these spiritualities. And this is why I want to start in the book of Adam and Eve. So the third eye is the pineal gland. It's the right pronunciation. Now, if you want a real scientific book, but then it got some religious aspect of it, one of the top Masons out here, you got to know what you're reading. Now, if you don't know you're reading Freemasonry stuff like the Bible and different things like that, then you don't know Freemasonry is whatever religion you want to be a part. But I'm trying to get this book in here. All right, there we go. So it's called the Pineal Eye, the Pineal Gland, the Eye of God. All right, so that's by Manly P. Hall. It's a nice little description on it. But it basically just goes in on how that is it's supposed to be non-calcified, and it's a gland, right? That helps you when you envision what you envision. That is a gland that helps you envision and see things when your eyes are closed. Okay, so if you have that experience when you close your eyes and you can still see something, that is what you're seeing through. It's your third eye, your pineal gland. Now, there are other glands and other functions that work together as a whole for it. All right, and you can actually see this in the eye of Horus, and that's the whole symbolism behind the eye of Horus. Okay, we don't know how life was before the flood. All right, so let's get into that real quick. And that's why I wanted to start here. So after this book, we're going to go into the book of Enoch. So after the book of Adam and Eve, you get through the second book, we're going to be going into the book of Enoch. But so what you mean, love? It's Enoch. And in the book of Enoch, it's telling you about the fallen angels, the punishment of the fallen angels, and then how the spirit of the fallen angels is going to linger. Okay? So the fallen angels wasn't just, it's not these angelic beings and these alien beings that you think it is. All right? It's the same way that Cain was enticed to kill his brother. Let me say it again. The same way Cain was enticed to kill his brother is the same way the daughters of men were enticed to do the works of the host of Satan. All right. Appreciate y'all in there. Examples, what language they speak. All right, so that's a language that we'll never know, that we won't know. It could have been English for all we know. Okay, Moses wrote Genesis. All right. Telepathic speaking of the mind. There you go. I like it. All right. So No, they spoke. They spoke. They was using their mouth. They was using their mouth. Not all the time, but they definitely was. See, that was more of the things that was going on in the Garden of Eden when they didn't have to use certain body parts because it was totally different, right? Because we can still use telekinesis to this day. We can use it, but do we use it? Do we know how? Do we tap back into that? All right. After the flood, exactly. So here we go. So let's get it through it. During this journey, let's not get too caught up into who wrote the books. We just gonna stick to the stories compared to the other spiritualities. Let's see, 2023, we using it. All right, so let's get into the book of Enoch prior to the flood. See, the thing that about Enoch that a lot of people don't know is that he was mission to stay in the cave of treasures and just meditate and pray with God. That was his assignment from his dad, Jared, because Jared was told in a vision that the son of men would get so wicked and that their bloodline and their people would start to mix with the children of Cain. The sift seeds mixing with the children of Cain. And that was one of the things that all the forefathers had forbid. But when Jared became head of the house, that's when they start coming down from the mountain that they were on and going to party and do all these different things with the children of Cain. Okay? That's very important to understand, because prior to them coming down, the fallen angels had already been doing their work, what we call fallen angels, which are evil spirits or apparitions or visions. Just like Satan enticed Cain, it was the same thing. See, does Genesis say that part? We in the book of Adam and Eve, Enoch. Adam and Eve, we're in the book of Adam and Eve, the first and second book, the book of Enoch right now, and the book of Jasher. Okay, which are all supposed to be part of the book of Genesis. But these scriptures were taken out for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. Okay, so just like Cain was enticed to kill his brother, so were the women of men, and men were enticed to start doing. I want to say perverse works that did not go back to the right source. That's what I want to say. I'm going to say it like that. Perverse works that did not go back to the right source. Okay? So, Cain didn't confuse. Line of Cain didn't confuse. Continue. The line of Cain didn't continue. No. It didn't. That was the whole point of the flood. That was the whole point of the flood, right? Because the line, I'm going somewhere with it, because we got to deal with the fallen angels to understand why evil spirits or the energy that took possession of the line of Cain is still here, right? Because it says that in scripture that they will come back, or the spirits will linger as evil spirits on the earth. Okay, so we see that through the relationship with Cain and Satan, and how Satan tried to appear to Adam and Eve over and over again to kill them and to throw them off and distract them. Now, it was the same thing that happened with the children in the line of Cain. Okay, they were distracted by gaining knowledge, right? Gaining knowledge and wisdom in areas that did not go back to the source. So when I say in areas, this is when I'm talking about the as above, so below, the third eye, meditating, mudras, crystals. All right. Meditation. prayer, incense burning, sage burning. How do we know this was during the line of Cain? And how do we know that it was done prematurely? Because Enoch was taught these things in his vision when he went with the angels and the archangels and different things. And he was doing his travels and they was teaching him different knowledges and secret knowledge. So Adam was the seed, Satan went after the weaker vessel. Exactly. So I like what he just said right here. All right. Boom. It wasn't fallen angels. It was Adam's sons marrying the people outside of the garden. I like that. Okay. I like that. Okay. I read that one. All right. Because that definitely is another representation. Another representation when they all after in the book of Enoch, was it the book of Enoch? When the men of Cain enticed the women and everybody to come down the mountain, they started coming down the mountain and fellowship with the line of Cain. All right. And you say which Eve? Satan didn't lie. Nah, Satan didn't lie. He gave him plenty of silver and gold. Okay. You would surely die. Technically, we did die once we fell from the Garden of Eden. But we gotta remember, the garden is a different place. It's not on earth. All right? It's not on earth. The garden is a different place. It's not on earth. It's a portal. It's a port. It has a gate to it. Right? Stargate. Think of Stargate when you think of the gate to Eden. We talking about Stargate. Right? And the whole intercourse between Satan, Eve, and Adam, right, was a spiritual intercourse. So it was not beastly. What we do in intercourse now with to have babies is beastly. We can make it a whole spiritual interaction, but that has to be deliberate. But you don't have to have a spiritual interaction in order to have intercourse, to procreate. That does not have to be spiritual at all. We make it that. Right? The fruit of knowledge of the good and evil. That's why the placenta looks like a withering tree. That's why I said when Adam looked back at the tree they had ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or how it had altered and withered. So when we talk about people in the intercourse thing, that's how, I ain't gonna say that's how we know, but those are symbol signs that we can use to help decipher all of this stuff. Right? So, because we got to remember the fruit terminology was used for the whole intercourse terminology, because when you eat, that's a form of intercourse. They just don't tell us that, but that's a form of transferring information from one thing to the next thing in order to create or have conception of something. It wasn't a fruit. Don't think of it as a fruit. Think of it as a seed being planted. Think of it more as a seed being planted than an actual eating of a fruit. Because even when we plant and use our hands in the soil, that is a form of intercourse. Right? So the scripture says fruit, right? What type of fruit? It don't matter. You know it's a fruit, right? But what you do know even more is that the fruit ain't on the planet no more. So what type of fruit it was, it don't even matter. And not only that, it was a fruit of the garden. Hey, big boy. Go inside. I'm coming. All right. So Huh? I ain't got no juice. My son that came in got off school. Here you go. Yeah. I'm on live. All right, y'all. That's my cue. We finna get up off here. Y'all, some of y'all come back. We gonna be back in on tonight at 10:10. Y'all come in. We gonna get it in some more on the second book of Adam and Eve. I want to get into and everything. Yeah, it's a lot of unanswered questions. But like I was saying, the fruit, like I was saying, the fruit of the garden, you ain't gonna be able to fathom that because it's of the Garden of Eden. The fruits and stuff is not the same. See, a lot of us, we get confused that the Garden of Eden is on earth. No, that's not the case. It's another dimension. It's another port. You got to go through the gate. That's why they out here looking for these gates and doors way now and using CERN to help create portals. And then you seeing people on TikTok creating portals. So we know it's not out of the norm. It's not too far-fetched. Esoteric. All right. So back then the language was esoteric. So look at it like this. Y'all had just said it in telekinesis, right? Adam said that their flesh was altered, meaning that they were of a spiritual flesh. It was an alteration. Okay. So that's one thing we gotta know. When we talk about telepathy and all of this different things, they was doing that. The reason why we know is because they didn't even eat nor drink, nor have the same thoughts or any of these different things that we have now in the beastly form. No, stop, put it back. All right. So that's what we got to understand. It's like we trying to look for these languages and all of these different things. We can't be looking for that because that's another distraction. And Genesis like flood used water to separate fowls from the wicked. All right. So the whole point of the flood was exactly what it says. It was a reset. All right. Now let's put this in back. If you heard of the mud floods, them digging out civilizations, what's the difference between a mud flood and the flood that we talking about? That's the thing I'm trying to help people realize. The same buildings that they digging is from the flood from biblical times. It's not the mud. Oh, it's a mud flood. It's a great reset. You see all these people out here on horse and buggy with a building going all the way to the heavens. And we are like, oh, ancient world, Tartaria and all of this stuff, right? If you got mud floods and these people out here digging up buildings out San Francisco and all these buildings people moved into, and they digging these buildings out from the earth, and people out here saying that they were once mud floods, and then we know that there was once a great flood. You need help? Hold on. Okay. Go ahead. Go. Go ahead. I'm coming. Go relax. I'm coming. Go. All right. I'm coming. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ask mommy. Go ask mommy to get you some candy. You gonna ask? All right. So we got to start putting things together. We seeing a mud flood and then of a great reset during the mud floods, and then we go back to the book of Noah. God didn't want us to be united and confused the language. See, that's the Tower of Babel. You can't do too much hopping. All right, we gotta stick to the flood. All right, the flood is the same mud flood that they talk about now. So when you see these people digging out of stuff, doing all these different things, that's what it's from. It's from the flood. The world is not as old as we think it is. It's one of the lies and deceptions of technology. You can go out here and believe that it's 30 million and 100 billion years old if you want to. And you can believe that we're in the solar system if you want to. By all means, believe how you want to believe. But when you get deceived, don't be surprised. Get what I'm saying? Don't be surprised. Because these people out here, give me a second, these people out here deceiving us with no mercy. We gotta take that into consideration. So, yeah, I ended right there on the flood, man. Come back, Peleg. 10-10 tonight. I'm going that question about the languages being confused and everything. So yeah, everything is 50-50. In the Kabbalion, that's why I say we gotta go over all these spiritualities. We're not just gonna stick to the Bible and say, oh yeah, this is the word. Where you at? I'm looking for the book, y'all. Give me a second. Yeah, that's it. No, that ain't it. The Kabbalion. Let me see if it's over here. There you go. Bottom. This book right here, the Kabbalion, right? So in the Kabbalion, it already tells us that every truth is a half truth. So we gotta be taking these things with a grain of salt. That's why we gotta go through all the spiritualities and make sure we out here using the law of discernment and detachment, putting all of these laws and things that we've learned in practical practice when we out here doing this research and this scholarship. We just not taking things because this is how we feel and this is how we believe. Nah, what we gonna do is read it, right? We gonna read it. We're going to compare it. We're going to use actual scholarship work. We're going to use our notes, our side notes, our quick notes, and get through this because there is a purpose to life. There is a purpose for all of this. Now, I'm not talking about your individual purposes. I'm talking about the purpose of it all. That's what we came here to get because I'm tired of going around the circle. Us going around the circle. Everybody, we all think we know everything. But at the end of the day, let's all sit down together and just go through it. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you nothing. I'm trying to just bring up things that we can question together and continue questioning. So then we can come up with a consistent truth through all of this stuff. Because the tricknology is everything. That's why that's what we doing, Paige. Scripture say fellowship, right? So I get it. So that's why I'm doing what we're doing. This is one way we can do it. Is fellowship. And if you missed the lesson last night, I'm trying to upload it tonight before I get on YouTube. So that way you can see part one when we start getting from the beginning, when they fell out of, and I went into some of the things about the Garden of Eden and how we're confirming that it was another portal in another place. How far are you going to take this? I'm taking it all the way. This might not get done until next year, to be honest, because I'm going to do, instead of doing it day by day, I'm gonna do it month by month. So 30 days for a whole full spirituality. So if we do end up doing this process, because this is the thing, it's so many books written, it's so many things that has been retranslated. We gotta open up a lot of different texts, a lot of different books, compare the adjectives and everything like that, so we can actually see where this thing is going and see who out here lying. That's the biggest thing. But I can be honest with you, ain't nobody lying. If I can just kind of do some foresight real quick, just do my work, ain't nobody lying. Everybody got the truth, but the problem is the source. So if the source isn't right, the truth gets perverted. And in the book of Adam and Eve, and the relationship between Cain and Satan, and what Satan was doing, it was a perverseness because they was perverting their hearts in the way they thought. And every time that happened, it led them to do something that was perverted or the murderous intent. And I say perverted, I'm not talking about some sexual act against somebody young or somebody thinking nasty. No, I'm saying perverted because that is not the right way of thinking. That is not the righteous way. So that's when I say that. Exactly. The words be greatly disfigured. That's why somebody with a sweet talk game can easily distract you and have you over there following something, and then you fell off a cliff and now you died. The same reason why, okay, forget that story I'll tell you. Let's come back to the reality of it. What was the name of the cult and they all drunk poison together and died? It's real life. It's in front of our faces. And it's probably still going on today, but now they don't put it on the mass media because that's not a scare tactic. That's not propaganda. That's not something that they use to distract us anymore. So all these things, man, we see in the world that we live in. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing it, because we got to compare it to the world that we live in, because we got to get real results from the information that we get, that we receive it. Exactly. Tabloid. To be honest with you, I asked God to show me the truth, and I ran up. But that's a blessing. I'm glad the Most High is using me as a vessel to teach His children. That's the only reason right now why I'm here. This is why we should work on being humble and speak with integrity. Exactly. It's a reason for everything. How our character is everything, right? What we do behind closed doors is everything, right? It's everything. Everything. It's everything. That's why anything I can say behind somebody's back, I can say it in your face. Anything I do behind closed doors, I can do it in open daylight. I had to learn that. And what I feel like I can't do in front of everybody, then I need to stop that. Period. Because if I can't be completely open to who I am, there go that word again, I am, then I can't be with that. Right? Because we got to be righteous. Righteous is upstanding. That's why when we pray, we're supposed to pray standing up, because we are righteous when we pray. We are upstanding when we pray. Shadow work is a must. Exactly. Shadow work is a must. Right? It's a must. It's a must. It's a must. All right, y'all. So 10-10. I'll see y'all later. Peace, love, and life. We'll get back on it later.